Welcome to HFY Galaxy Tales. Like this video and subscribe the channel for more HFY stories. Listen, I have been stationed on 17 different worlds across 4 spiral arms of this galaxy, and I thought I had seen everything. My name is Vorrk, and I serve as the sanitation supervisor aboard the Celestial Majesty, the largest luxury cruise vessel ever constructed by the Galactic Federation. 300 decks. 40,000 passengers. 2 million square meters of pristine surfaces that need constant attention. And then we hired Maya Torres. The day she walked into my office, I was reviewing the quarterly reports with all the enthusiasm of someone about to get their molars extracted without anesthetic. Budget cuts had sliced our cleaning staff down to skeletal levels, which meant we needed warm bodies, and we needed them yesterday. The agency sent over her file. Human. From Earth. That little blue marble planet that had just joined the Federation 6 months prior. I barely glanced at her credentials. She could fog a mirror. Congratulations, you are hired. She stood in my doorway, barely reaching the height of my second thorax segment, wearing the most ridiculous smile I had ever witnessed. Humans do this thing where they bare their teeth when they are happy, which, by the way, is absolutely terrifying if you come from a species that only shows teeth as a threat display. But Maya? She was grinning like she had just won the cosmic lottery. Mr. Vorrk, she asked, her voice bright and clear. I am here about the sanitation position. Yes, come in, I muttered, my mandibles clicking with impatience. You understand the job. Long hours, minimal breaks, physical labor, exposure to various atmospheric conditions. Absolutely. She practically bounced into the chair. I am so excited to work here. Excited. To clean floors. On a spaceship. Right then, I should have known. I really should have known. Fine, I said, pushing the contract across my desk. Sign here, and here. You start tomorrow at 0600. Report to equipment distribution on deck 42. They will assign you a sector. She signed with a flourish, still smiling. Still showing all those teeth. The next morning, I got the first call from Brelix, my equipment manager. He sounded confused, which was unusual because Brelix had the emotional range of a particularly dull rock. Vorrk, he said slowly, the new human is here. Good. Give her the standard kit and send her to Sector 7. That is the thing. She asked for the blue mop. I stopped mid-sip of my morning stimulant. What? She asked specifically for the blue mop. The one with the extended reach handle. And the deluxe filtration bucket. And the commercial-grade surface analyzer. Those are for senior staff only. I know. I told her that. She asked very politely if she could have them anyway. And you said? I said no, obviously. Then she smiled at me. So. Have you seen a human smile up close, Vorrk? It is deeply unsettling. I gave her the equipment. I rubbed my sensory antennae in frustration. Just send her to Sector 7 before I decide to fire both of you. Sector 7 was one of the nightmare areas. High traffic, multiple species with incompatible biology, constant spillage of substances that defied conventional physics. Most new hires quit after one shift there. It was a trial by fire, except the fire was sometimes literal because the Pyroxian passengers occasionally combusted when startled. 3 hours later, I got another call. Supervisor Vorrk. It was Telera, the deck manager for that section. She sounded breathless. You need to get down here. My multiple hearts sank. What did she break? Nothing. That is the problem. Sector 7 is spotless. I pulled up the monitoring feed on my terminal. Then I enhanced it. Then I ran a diagnostic to make sure my screen was not malfunctioning. Sector 7 gleamed. And I mean gleamed like it had been polished by divine intervention. The floors reflected light with mirror precision. The walls showed no trace of the mysterious purple substance that had been there for 3 months. Even the air filtration panels, which were scheduled for replacement next quarter, looked brand new. How, was all I could manage. She has been singing, Tellera said, still sounding dazed. Human songs. About cleaning. And she developed some kind of system. Color-coded by contamination level. And she talked 2 Valerian passengers into helping her move a malfunctioning waste recycler that engineering said would take 4 people with exosuits. She convinced Valorians to help with manual labor. Valorians were notoriously proud. They considered physical work beneath them. Their entire culture was built on intellectual superiority and looking down their triple noses at everyone else. She told them it would be a fascinating challenge, and that she bet they could not figure out the optimal pivot point for leverage. They spent 20 minutes calculating it, then helped her move the entire unit. I terminated the call and sat in silence for approximately 30 seconds before my supervisor, Captain Melrose, contacted me. Vorrk, I am looking at efficiency reports for Sector 7. Is our monitoring equipment broken? No, Captain. Then why does it show productivity increase of 400%? We have a new cleaner. What species? Human. There was a long pause. The Earth creatures. The ones who supposedly climbed to the top of their food chain despite having no natural weapons, surviving on spite and stubbornness. The very same, Captain. Another pause. Promote her. Sir, she has been here for 1 shift. I do not care if she has been here for 1 minute. Those numbers do not lie. Find out what she is doing and replicate it across the entire vessel. Captain out. I found Maya on her meal break, sitting in the staff cantina, eating something that smelled vaguely toxic while reading a manual on industrial xenobiology sanitation practices. For fun. She was reading it for fun. Miss Torres, I said, sliding into the seat across from her. Please, call me Maya. That smile again. Those teeth. Maya. I have reviewed your work today. Oh no, did I miss something? I thought I got all the Helixian mucus trails, but they can be tricky in low-gravity zones. You did not miss anything. In fact, you exceeded all expectations by margins that should not be mathematically possible. She beamed even brighter. How was that possible? Thank you. I really love it here. You love cleaning. I love solving problems. Every mess is like a puzzle, you know. You have to figure out the right approach, the right tools, the right sequence. Plus, I get to learn about all these different species and their biology. Did you know Helixians secrete different compounds based on their emotional state? The happy mucus is actually easier to clean than the sad mucus. I stared at her. My translator implant double-checked to make sure it was functioning correctly. You analyze the emotional content of alien secretions? Well, yeah. How else are you supposed to optimize your cleaning solution pH levels? She said this like it was the most obvious thing in the universe. Maya, how would you feel about training other staff members? Really? That would be amazing. I have so many ideas about cross-species cleaning protocols and... Start tomorrow. Double your current salary. You will have a team of 6. Can I get the purple mop too? You can have whatever color mop you want. Excellent. Purple is really good for the observation deck because it does not clash with the nebula views and passengers appreciate aesthetic consistency even in maintenance equipment. I left that conversation with a headache developing in 3 of my 4 brain lobes. But the numbers did not lie. Maya Torres was some kind of cleaning savant, and I was going to use that to save my department. What I did not know, because I am an idiot, was that Maya Torres was not just good at cleaning. She was good at everything she decided to be good at. Week 2, she had reorganized the entire supply chain system, reducing waste by 60%. Week 3, she had somehow befriended the head chef and implemented a composting program that cut food disposal costs in half. Week 4, she mediated a dispute between the Aquarian and Magmatic staff members who had been feuding for 3 years over optimal humidity levels. By week 6, she was running staff morale programs. By week 8, passengers were requesting her by name to handle special cleaning situations. By week 10, I walked into my office to find her sitting in my chair, reviewing budget projections, with Captain Melrose standing beside her, nodding along to whatever she was saying. "Ah, Vorrk," the captain boomed. "We were just discussing Maya's proposal for a complete departmental restructuring." "My chair," I said weakly. "Oh, sorry." Maya jumped up, still clutching her data pad. "I was just showing Captain Melrose how we could increase efficiency by another 30% if we shifted to a zone-based rotation system instead of sector assignments, and cross-trained everyone in basic mechanical repair, which would reduce our dependency on engineering for minor issues." The captain looked at me with his compound eyes glittering. "I am promoting her to assistant sanitation supervisor. She has been here for 10 weeks. Your point, Vorrk." I had no point. The numbers were undeniable. Passenger satisfaction was up. Costs were down. The ship had never been cleaner. 3 different department heads had tried to poach her for their teams. No point, Captain. Excellent. Maya, your new office is being prepared. Vorrk will brief you on supervisory duties. After he left, Maya looked at me with something that might have been sympathy, which somehow made it worse. "I know this is weird," she said gently. "But I promise I am not trying to take your job. I just really like making things work better." "Why?" I finally asked the question that had been bothering me since day one. "Why do you care this much about cleaning a spaceship?" She tilted her head, considering. "Back on Earth, I worked in a hospital. Maintenance staff. Everyone treated us like we were invisible, like what we did not matter. But it did matter. People lived or died based on whether surfaces were properly sanitized. I saved lives with a mop, Vorrk. And nobody ever noticed." Her smile dimmed just slightly. "Here, you noticed. Captain Melrose notices. The passengers notice. For the first time in my life, people see the work and they respect it. Why would not I care? Why would not I give it everything I have?" And there it was. The thing I had been missing. Maya Torres was not good at cleaning. Maya Torres was good at being seen. She had taken the one job most beings considered beneath them and turned it into something worthy of respect. And in doing so, she had become invaluable. "The blue mop," I said suddenly, understanding clicking into place. "You asked for the blue mop on your first day." "Yeah. That is senior staff equipment. You had to know we would say no." She grinned, and this time I barely even flinched at the teeth. "I figured if I asked for the best tools right away, either you would give them to me because you were desperate, or you would tell me to prove myself first. Either way, it showed I was serious. You manipulated me. I showed initiative. There is a difference." There really was not, but I was too tired to argue. "Your office will be ready tomorrow," I said, gathering my dignity. "Try not to reorganize the entire ship before lunch." "No promises," she called after me as I left. I should have fired her right then. Should have seen the danger. Should have recognized that humans do not just adapt to new situations. They conquer them. But I did not. And that decision would change everything. Because 3 days later, the pirates attacked. The alarm klaxon started screaming at 0300 hours, which is exactly the time when any sane being is either asleep or pretending to be. I jolted awake in my quarters, all 4 of my arms flailing in different directions, knocking over my collection of ceramic fungus sculptures in the process. "All personnel to emergency stations. This is not a drill. We are under attack by hostile forces. Repeat, this is not a drill. Pirates. Had to be pirates. The Celestial Majesty was a floating buffet of wealthy passengers and cargo, cruising through a sector that had been seeing increased raider activity. Security had assured us the threat was minimal. Security, it turned out, was wrong. I scrambled into my uniform and rushed toward the command bridge, because apparently my emergency station was helping coordinate civilian evacuations, which sounded absolutely delightful during a crisis. The corridors were chaos. Passengers running in every direction, screaming in 40 different languages. Crew members trying to maintain order while looking just as terrified as everyone else. Then I saw her. Maya Torres, wearing her maintenance jumpsuit, standing in the middle of Deck 15's main concourse, holding her blue mop like it was a sacred artifact. Around her, about 30 passengers had formed a surprisingly orderly cluster. Maya. What are you doing? Get to the emergency pods. She looked at me with that infuriatingly calm expression. The emergency pods on this deck are malfunctioning. I checked. Doors will not seal properly. Faulty hydraulic seals, probably from the humidity damage I reported last month that engineering said they would fix next quarter. An explosion rocked the ship. Somewhere far above us, something important had just stopped being structurally sound. Then get these people to another deck. Working on it. She turned back to her group, which I now noticed included 2 Valorians, a family of Centaurians, several Aquarians, and what looked like a magmatic elder who should absolutely not be moving this fast at his age. Okay everyone, listen up. We are going to move together as one group to Deck 12. Stay behind me, watch your step, and if you see any suspicious liquids on the floor, do not touch them because this ship has approximately 60 different substances that can kill you in creative ways. That is not reassuring, one of the Valorians shouted. I am not here to reassure you, I am here to keep you alive. Now move. And they did. They actually followed her. This human who had been cleaning their rooms for 10 weeks was now leading them through a crisis, and they trusted her completely. I fell in step beside her as we moved. What happened to your emergency station assignment? My emergency station was equipment storage bay 4. I decided evacuating passengers was more important than guarding mops. Another explosion, closer this time. The lights flickered. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in sickly red. How many raider ships? Maya asked, her voice steady. 3, last I heard. Mid-sized attack craft. They are demanding we shut down engines and prepare to be boarded. Are we shutting down? Captain Melrose is negotiating. So that is a no. Good. I like him. We reached the emergency pod bay on Deck 12. Maya started loading passengers in with the efficiency of someone who had done this 1,000 times instead of never. She counted heads, checked seal integrity, verified life support systems, all while keeping up a steady stream of calm instructions. You have done this before, I said, watching her work. Hospital emergency drills. We ran them monthly. Same principle, different stakes. She sealed the last pod and slapped the launch button. It shot away from the ship toward the nearby station. Okay, who else needs extraction? My communicator crackled. It was Telera, the deck manager, and she sounded close to panic. Vorrk. Engineering deck. We have a hull breach. 40 crew members trapped behind a sealed bulkhead, and life support is failing. Maya grabbed my arm. Where? Deck 68, engineering section. She was already running. I chased after her, my respiratory system struggling to keep up. For someone with only 2 legs, humans could move disturbingly fast when motivated. We reached the engineering deck to find absolute pandemonium. Smoke billowed from damaged conduits. Sparks rained down from severed power cables. And there, behind a massive sealed emergency bulkhead, I could see crew members pounding on the transparent aluminum, their faces showing the early signs of oxygen deprivation. The engineering chief, a massive Krolon named Darvix, was frantically working the control panel. Hydraulics are shot. I cannot get it open. Manual override is on the other side. Maya pushed past him, examining the door. How thick? 30 centimeters of reinforced titanium composite. Explosive cutting. Would depressurize this entire section. We would kill everyone. She stood there for exactly 3 seconds, her face locked in concentration. Then, the maintenance shafts. The ones I use to access the air filtration systems. They run parallel to this section. Darvik stared at her. Those shafts are 15 centimeters wide. Nothing bigger than a maintenance drone can fit through them. Maya looked at him. Looked at the dying crew members. Looked back at him. I am smaller than a maintenance drone. Absolutely not. I said, my mandibles clicking in agitation. Those shafts are not designed for living beings. One wrong turn and you could be crushed, electrocuted, or vented into space. Cool. Good to know. Where is the access panel? Maya. She turned to face me, and for the first time since I had met her, she was not smiling. Her expression was hard, determined, and absolutely terrifying. Vorrk, I have spent my entire life being underestimated because I clean floors for a living. But I know this ship better than anyone. I have crawled through every maintenance shaft, every service tunnel, every forgotten corner. I know which panels are loose, which routes are safe, which systems are redundant. So right now, you have 2 choices. Tell me where the access panel is, or get out of my way while I find it myself. I told her where the access panel was. She stripped off her jumpsuit down to her undershirt and pants, grabbed a portable communicator and a pry bar from the emergency kit, and squeezed into a hole that looked barely large enough for my smallest arm. Then she was gone, crawling into the guts of the ship. We listened to her progress over the communicator. Heavy breathing. The clang of metal on metal. Occasional cursing in human languages that my translator could not quite parse, but that sounded impressively creative. Okay, I am at junction 7. Taking the lower route because the upper one has that power coupling that arcs every 14 minutes and I would rather not get fried. Acknowledged, Darvik said into his own communicator, pulling up schematics. You should see a red marked panel in approximately 10 meters. Seeing it. Heading that way. Oh, that is fun. There is a pyroxian heat vent here that was definitely not on the schematics. Can you get around it? Working on it. There was a lot of grunting. Something scraped. Okay, past the death trap. Why do we even have pyroxian heat vents on an engineering deck? Legacy systems from the refit. Darvix called back. Keep going. More clanging. More creative cursing. Then silence. Maya. I called. Maya, report. Nothing. Maya Torres, respond immediately. Static. Then, faintly, little busy here, Vorrk. There is a damaged conduit leaking something that is making the metal slippery. Trying not to slide backward into the heat vent of death. My hearts, all 4 of them, were attempting to escape my chest cavity through sheer force of panic. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. 20. Got it. Proceeding to the manual override. Darvix pulled up the camera feed from inside the sealed section. We watched as a panel in the ceiling suddenly popped open, and Maya dropped down into the room, landing in a crouch that would have impressed a Felixian hunter. The trapped crew members stared at her like she had materialized from another dimension. Hey everyone, she said brightly, waving. Sorry about the delay. Traffic was terrible. Now, who knows how to work a manual override? A Krolon engineer raised one massive claw. I do. Fantastic. You do that, I am going to see about getting life support back online because you all look kind of purple and I am pretty sure that is not your normal color. She moved to the environmental control panel while the engineer worked the override. I watched her fingers fly over the controls, adjusting oxygen mixtures, rerouting power, bypassing damaged systems. Where did she learn this? When did she learn this? The bulkhead door groaned. Shuddered. Then slowly, incredibly, began to open. The crew members poured out, gasping in fresh air. Medical teams rushed in to check for injuries. And Maya just stood there, covered in grime and what looked like 3 different types of industrial lubricant, still not smiling but looking satisfied. Captain Melrose appeared, striding through the chaos like he owned it, which technically he did. Report. All crew extracted, Captain, Vorrk said, his voice filled with something approaching awe. Thanks to the human. The captain looked at Maya. Really looked at her, like he was seeing her for the first time. You crawled through the maintenance shafts. Yes, sir. Those shafts are not rated for personnel. I noticed, sir. Very cramped. Would not recommend. You could have died. Yes, sir. But I did not, and now 40 crew members did not either, so I am calling it a win. Another explosion rocked the ship. Right. We were still under attack. I had almost forgotten in all the excitement. The captain's communicator squawked. Bridge to captain. Raiders are attempting to board at docking port 7. Security teams respond, the captain barked. Then he looked at Maya again. Get to safety. You have done enough. With respect, Captain, I think I can do more. You are a sanitation supervisor. And I know every single access point, maintenance shaft, and hidden passage on this ship. Which means I know exactly where those pirates are going to try to move once they get inside, and I know how to make their lives extremely difficult. The captain and I exchanged glances. This was insane. This was beyond insane. This was taking insane out for dinner and proposing marriage. What exactly are you proposing? The captain asked slowly. Maya's smile returned, but this time it was different. Predatory. Give me a team. Give me access to environmental controls. And give me 30 minutes. I will have those raiders begging to get off this ship. The captain considered this for exactly 5 seconds. Vorrk, you are with her. Vorrk, give her anything she needs. Maya Torres, you have your 30 minutes. Try not to kill anyone. No promises, she called back, already heading for the nearest terminal. And that is how I, a sanitation supervisor with 4 degrees in waste management and xenobiology, ended up fighting pirates with a human who conquered the galaxy one clean floor at a time. Maya pulled up the ship's environmental control system and started typing with the speed of someone possessed. Okay, raiders are in section 12. They will want to head for the bridge, which means they will take the main corridors. Bad news for them, I just sealed every main corridor on decks 10 through 20. They will just cut through. Sure, but that takes time. Meanwhile, I am venting atmosphere in sections they are not in, making them think we are trying to flush them out, which will drive them toward the cargo bays. Why the cargo bays? She grinned. That terrifying human grin. Because we stored 17 tons of Helixian mucus down there last week. The happy kind, which is super slippery. I am about to make it very unhappy by lowering the temperature to freezing levels, which will make it even more slippery and also mildly acidic. Anyone walking through there is going to have a very bad time. I watched in horrified fascination as she worked. She rerouted power, adjusted gravity in specific sections, and even started playing music over the intercom in areas where raiders were hiding, apparently because humans found psychological warfare hilarious. Report. Captain Melrose called over the comm. Raiders are confused and stuck in Cargo Bay 4, Maya reported. Recommend security teams approach from above using the maintenance catwalks. The mucus will not reach up there. 20 minutes later, security had rounded up all 15 raiders without firing a single shot. They were too busy trying not to slip, slide, and dissolve to put up a fight. The raider ships, seeing their boarding party captured, decided retreat was the better part of valor and jumped away. The crisis was over. Captain Melrose found us in environmental control, where Maya was carefully restoring normal conditions throughout the ship. "Miss Torres," he said formally. "That was the most unorthodox defensive strategy one have ever witnessed." "Thank you, sir. I am promoting you to Chief of Operations." I choked on my own respiratory fluids. "Sir, she has been here for 3 months. And in those 3 months, she has reorganized sanitation, improved efficiency across 4 departments, saved 40 crew members, and defeated a pirate boarding party using cleaning supplies and temperature controls. Frankly, Vorrk, I am considering making her my second officer." Maya held up her hands. "How about we start with Chief of Operations and see how that goes?" The captain nodded. "Wise. Report to me tomorrow at 0800. We have much to discuss." After he left, I turned to Maya. "You know this is completely absurd." "I know. You came here to clean floors." "I did. Now you are running the ship." "I am helping run the ship. There is a difference." I slumped against the console. "Why? Why do you do this? Why do you care this much?" She was quiet for a moment, her expression thoughtful. "Back on Earth, people told me I could not do things my whole life. Could not get that job, could not earn that promotion, could not make a difference. So I learned to find the cracks, the places where no one was looking, and I made myself indispensable there. Started with cleaning because everyone needs cleaning, and no one respects the people who do it. Which meant low expectations. And low expectations meant I could exceed them. You manipulated your way to the top. I worked my way to the top. There is a difference. I just chose a path no one else was watching." She looked at me with those strange human eyes. "You know what I learned, Vorrk? Every job matters. Every role is essential. The person mopping the floor might save your life someday, if you give them the blue mop and let them do their best work." I thought about that. Really thought about it. "You asked for the blue mop on purpose." "I asked for the blue mop because I wanted you to know I was serious. That I was not going to settle for less than I deserved, even if I was just the cleaner. And you gave it to me, eventually, because you saw that I was worth it. I gave it to you because you terrified my equipment manager with your smile. That too." We stood there in the environmental control room, surrounded by screens showing a ship returning to normal operations, and I realized something important. Humans were not going to just join the Galactic Federation. They were going to transform it, one exceeded expectation at a time. And it started with people like Maya Torres, who asked for the blue mop and then proceeded to save the entire ship with it. "So, what now?" I asked. She stretched, wincing at what were probably 17 new bruises from her adventure in the maintenance shafts. "Now I go back to my quarters, take a very long shower, and tomorrow I figure out how to optimize our entire operation structure. Also, I think we need to have a serious conversation about those pyroxian heat vents. They are a safety hazard." "Of course they are." "Oh, and Vorrk. Thanks for believing in me. Even when I was terrifying. You are still terrifying." "I know. Is not it great?" She left, humming one of those human cleaning songs, leaving me alone with my thoughts and the growing certainty that my entire career had just been sideways promoted into something I did not understand. But you know what? The ship was clean. The passengers were safe. And somewhere in the cosmos, the Galactic Federation was about to learn what happens when you give a human a mop and tell them to get to work. They do not just clean. They conquer. And it all started because Maya Torres asked for the blue one.